people, but I'm going to go ahead and start. This is just a quick PowerPoint presentation to explain two things on there, and then after I finish, we're going to dive in and actually do some hands-on. So I know you guys are all excited and looking forward to messing with your sites. So first, I'm going to talk about the differences between a permanent and a temporary library. All right, so first, a permanent library is a library that we want you guys to put files that require little to no changes on a yearly basis. And any files that you put on that library will not be deleted. Now, if you look at your site on the left-hand side, on the left navigation, the permanent library is going to be the one that says school images and school documents. So once again, any files that you put in that library, they're not going to be touched, they're not going to be deleted. And a temporary library, we want you guys to put files in there that are related to the current school year. Files in that library will be deleted at the before the start of the next school year. And that one, the temporary library, is the one that says shared documents. So once again, we want you to put files in there that are specific to the current school year, and that library will be emptied out by us before the start of the next school year. Now we'll send email notification letting you guys know, hey, at this date, your temporary library will be deleted. I don't know exactly what the email is going to say, but there's nothing stopping you guys from making a backup for yourself and storing it on a file server if you have one at your school. Burning a DVD, saving it on an external hard drive. That way, if you need to reference those later on, you have those files available. Some ideas of what documents and files you can put on the permanent library. These are just some that I listed. I'm sure there's others maybe that I didn't think about and I might have missed. But basically, on the school documents, it'd be a great idea to put either the blank template or the source documents for all those listed on there, like the curriculum guide, the student planner, any type of request forms, whether it's the leave of absence or the field trip forms. That way, anybody can go and get those, and they'll be the blank versions, the most up-to-date template for those documents. And then on the other library, the temporary one, I want you guys to put the current versions of all those documents. So to give you a quick explanation, imagine if I'm a brand new teacher and I just switch schools from obviously school A to school B. I know exactly where to go and find the current version of all those documents. So I know exactly where the most up-to-date phone list is, because I know that document is usually updated multiple times during a school year, whether you have a new teacher moves, or whatever the case might be. No questions asked. You don't have to worry about if you have multiple people working on the curriculum guide, and question is asked, which version is the most up-to-date. Now you know, because there should only be one on the inside of that document library. And I'm sure you're asking yourself why we're doing that, and that's for two reasons. One, confusion, like I just explained. You pretty much will eliminate that altogether, because if all the schools follow this guideline, it'll be standard across the district, and like I said before, users, staff members at your school will know exactly where to go to get what information they're looking for. And the second reason is storage. We can't really give schools unlimited storage, because I'm sure the hard drive will get filled up pretty quickly. So that's why we're doing, we're emptying out the shared documents library before the start of the next school year. So please try not to put all of your documents on the other one, on the permanent one, because we will know if if there's a school that's using way too much space than others. So please just don't bring everything over when you start transferring documents over. Only the stuff that you guys really need. Okay, next up, I'm going to talk about Subsites. And wouldn't it be great if you created a site on your school collaboration site with custom permissions? So for example, if I'm the principal and I want to create a subsite for all the members of my admin team, and only those people could access and view all the information. So that's a great example of why creating a subsite is a great idea. And also, it'll be awesome if you had a subsite for a department or grade level and have information inside of that subsite that pertains to just those group of users. Some benefits of creating a subsite, besides custom permissions, when you create one and use the template that I'm going to show you, they'll be laid out pretty much identical to your main page, but you'll have your own separate calendar, separate document libraries. You can create custom lists, create a blog, create a discussion board, but all those will be completely separate than the libraries found on your main page. To give you another example, high schools, I think most of them created a subsite for their athletic department. That way, on that separate calendar, they can put all of the athletic events that are going on in the year, because if they added those events on the main calendar page, that can pretty much fill the entire calendar by itself. So that way, if you want to keep the calendar, not too busy, you can have a separate calendar for each department if you like. And based on the feedback that we got from the pilot schools, we think most elementary schools are going to structure their subsites by grade level. You don't have to, it's all up to you, but we think they might do grade levels. Middle schools, depending on how things are ran on your campus, will either go with grades or curriculum-based subsites, and of course high schools most likely will do curriculum-based. I am going to show you how to do that little drop down. That way it keeps the page nice and clean, not too cluttered with a lot of subsites listed across the top, and also without having the need to scroll left and right. All right, so that's all for the presentation. So next I'm going to show you a couple things on how to create a subsite, how to rename one, how to delete it, how to do the drop down little effect on here, and other things that you guys might want to see. So if I can get everybody to go to your page, feel free to follow along. Once again, we have videos on this, so it's okay if you don't remember all the steps. Yes? No, not at all. He will take care of it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And are you guys the only ones that are from the same school? Yeah. Okay. Once you have access, don't do this. I mean, you can follow along, just name it differently.
Right.
Okay, so in order to create one, obviously you have to be on the top level site. So from here, go on to the left navigation and click on Site Contents. And if you're at a school that somebody already attended one of these trainings, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, if they created any subsites, they'll be listed on here. If not, it'll say there's no subsites, click New Subsite or a message like that. So for now, click New Subsite. And please, I don't think anybody's doing this yet, but don't go ahead too much, because I don't want you to miss any information. The first field that you'll see is the title. So go ahead and give it a title. For this one, I'm just going to call it Test Curriculum. And I'm going to purposely misspell it because I'm going to show you how to go back and edit and rename it, or fix the misspell. Name this one something like test or something, because we are going to delete this one. For description, you can leave it. You can add a description if you like, or you can leave it blank. For the URL name, try to keep this short. So if it's like my example, test curriculum, I'm just going to name it TC. You want to keep it short because once you start adding documents and files, you don't want to cause that URL name to get pretty long, because you might run into issues later on if you have more than 255 characters. Which sounds like a lot, but could go by pretty quickly depending on how people name their documents. So I'm just going to call it TC for now. The next section is the select the template section. The ones that we created for you guys that we want you guys to use can be found by going to the custom tab. Once you click on that, you'll see 3 different templates. Please ignore the first one that says school template. That was a template that we used to create your original site, but unfortunately there was no way to hide it, so it's always going to be visible. So depending on if you're doing a grade or curriculum, pick either of these, one of these templates. They're both identical. The only difference is how this library is named. It'll either say grade document or grade calendar, or subject calendar, subject documents. That's the only difference. So I'm just gonna select show or school subject. And if you scroll down, the last 2 questions for right now until we get Adani explains permission, just leave this one alone. It should be the first one that says use same permissions as parent site. That one should be selected, so just leave that alone. And this is the question that I referred to earlier, where it asks you if you want to use the same top link bar from the parent site. If you want to show all the links up on the top to make it easier for users to navigate, make sure you answer yes. Okay. This question here, if you forget and accidentally left it on no, you can go back and change it. Same thing with permissions, in case you did, you need permissions or something. The only thing on this page that you cannot go back and change is the template. Once a subset is created and you select the template, if it's wrong, the only way to fix it is by deleting the subsite and recreating it, which is not a big thing, but just you don't want to put more work towards you. And when you're finished, click on the create button. And this will take maybe about a minute, up to a minute it could take, and once the page loads with your newly created subsite, don't go ahead because there's a couple things I want to show you. Any questions so far? Yes.
Okay, so you showed before where you could create, like where it has the grade level with the drop down.
Mm-hmm.
Are those also separate subsites just in a menu?
They are separate subsites, but they're created inside of that top level subsite, and that's what I'm going to show next. So
if we do grade levels, is this the better way where it goes across the top for us, for elementary school?
no, we think, just so it stays nice and clean, to do the whole drop down effect.
Okay.
That way you don't have to worry about scrolling left and right, because people might not know and they'll probably think that doesn't exist because they can't see it, and so forth. Okay, so once your page loads, you'll probably notice that the link for your new subsite is not showing up top. SharePoint has a number of timer jobs that, depending on when you hit it, will either go right away or within maybe a minute. So all you have to do, if it doesn't show, just hit F5 on your keyboard, and what that's going to do is refresh the page, and now you should see that link on there. And mine is all the way to the right, so here it is all the way at the very end. Next, I'm going to show you how to rename it. It's very easy. All you have to do is, 1, make sure you're inside of that subsite. So in case if you're in your main page, all you have to do is click on the link to go into that subsite. And from here, click on the gear icon on the top right and go down and select Site Settings. And when Site Settings loads, look for navigation, and it's under the look and feel category. Click, or I'm sorry, not navigation, I'm thinking of something else. Title, description, and logo, which is in the same category. The same category. And in here will look pretty similar to when we were creating the subsite, where you can change the title, change the description if you like. You can also change the logo that's on the upper left-hand corner of the page. And one thing that I do not recommend doing is changing the URL name. If it's a brand new subsite that you just created, that there's no information, nobody even knows that the subsite exists, feel free to then change the URL name. But if it's one that's already existing and has information, leave it alone, because if you change the URL name and there's links that people have been sharing back and forth to documents or pages, it'll break that link. So if you don't need to change it, leave it alone. It's not a big deal if you did not change it. So here I'm going to make the change to test curriculum. And after you're done making your changes, hit OK. And same rule apply with the timer job. If you look at the link, the top link bar, it's still, misspelled. But if I hit F5 on the keyboard, it'll show the correct spelling. All right, next I am going to show you how to do the drop-down effect that I did on here for grades. So what we're going to do is, since we created the top-level subsite, now we want to create a subsite inside of that top-level subsite. So to do that, once again, make sure you're inside of the subsite. So in my example, I'm doing test curriculum. And once again, we'll be creating a subsite. So just like we did before, click on Site Contents, scroll all the way to the bottom, click on New Subsite. For the title, I'm just going to call it Test Subject. Sorry? For the I'm going to type.
Remember, everything that you see here, there's videos for, so you can always go back to the videos.
I have issues. I know. Okay, are you cut up, or do you need me to go back? You're cut up? Okay. So I called the test subject. For the URL name, I'm just going to call it TS. And can somebody tell me which template I should use? And where I can find them? Good job. Thank you, people. Yes. And then on here, like I said before, it doesn't really matter as long as you use either the subject grade template or the subject template or the grade template. So I'm just going to select subject. User permission, should I change this or should I leave it alone? Okay. And what about the last question?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Yes, change it.
Ah, okay. Okay. And then hit OK once you're done filling out the information. This is exciting, isn't it?
Exciting is when we start emailing you. You went too far on this part? What?
Wow.
I'm only kidding.
Alrighty, so once again,
Let's go to Hector by it.
once the page loads, you're not going to see the drop down, because once we create it, we have to tell SharePoint now to pretty much show the subsites. So what you need to do from this point is find the link that the original top level subsite, click on it, and now we're going to enable that feature. So you can do that by clicking on the gear icon, site settings. Now is when you want to go to navigation. And what we're looking for is on the very first section, it says global navigation. You want to check this box that says show subsites. You only have to worry about the one that says show subsites under global navigation and not the one down here that says current navigation. That one you can just leave alone. So now if you click OK, you'll see that you now should have the drop down. And if it doesn't show up, because sometimes like one of those timer jobs, just refresh the page and you should see the drop down effect. Did that work for everybody?
Okay.
Yes? Okay.
And then you should see your drop downs.
Did that work for you, sir? Got it? Cool. So that one step that of checking that box that says show subsites, you only have to do it on the top level subsite. So if I go in and create another one, call it test subject 2, it will automatically show up on the drop down.
But remember, you make that subsite in the top level. So like test curriculum, you do it in that one.
Correct. So you always want to make sure if you want to do a subsite inside of a subsite, you have to be on that initial top level subsite. I know it can get confusing. And yeah, unfortunately, there was no way to tell SharePoint to automatically enable that checkbox, because since the subsite does not exist, there's no way to tell it to always do this. So any questions?
All right. For the first time that I want to do the subsite, I go onto the main page and do all of these steps, right? Yes, that's what we just did.
Correct.
Now I'm here on where I've got my drop down.
Okay.
I go into that where I say test substitute, and now if I want subsites from there, I do the process again, but from here.
From the test curriculum ELL, yes,
Got it.
correct.
All right.
Because if you create one underneath there, unfortunately, I mean, there's nothing stopping you from doing that, because in case you want to do, let's say, grades, first grade, and then maybe do first grade science. I don't know why you would, but I'm just saying. SharePoint does not support like another flyout. So, but yeah, you just want to make sure that you do, the second subsite inside of here.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So the first one was a subsite, or was the first one a page? You created the page first?
No, we all we did was subsites.
Okay.
Yeah. So to do another recap, just really quick. I have all these here, and I just did them as an example of what it will look like if you have one too many across the top. But what we did is we created this test curriculum subsite first, and then inside of test curriculum we created test subject. So, and then remember that in order to have the drop-down effect, you have to go to test curriculum and go to site settings navigation, check the box to have this little drop-down on there. Okay, and then to show this again, this is what it will look like if you selected no for the top link bar, show same top link bar as the parent. So if I wanted to go back, it's just difficult, because if I start going to here and then there, I will have to keep clicking back to figure out how to go back to the main page. So that's what just makes it easier to just make sure to always check yes for the top link bar. In case you accidentally didn't, like I did here, and you want to show it, and we have videos on this, so you don't have to follow along. All you have to do is pretty much this gear icon up here is going to be your best friend, because most of the stuff you have to do, you either have to go through site contents, which there's a link on the left, or if you want to go to site settings, that's the only way you can get to there. Go to site settings, navigation, and then under the global navigation, you would check this box here, which says display the same navigation item as the parent site. And if I hit OK now, see now they're displaying now under the World of Languages subsite. So it's not that difficult to get back. If you use any of the other built-in templates, they would look like, I think it's music that I didn't pick it. Yeah, it would look like this. So you don't have any of the web parts, the page won't look like anything else. So you have to build everything from scratch. So that's why we made those templates for you guys, because it'll do everything right off the bat. And all you have to do is just import or upload all your information, all your documents. Any questions? Cool.
I have a question.
Yes.
If we're doing something like a phone list, can we export that to like some kind of CSV file and then import it here? Or do you have to do each one manually?
Nope, you can definitely do that. You don't even have to import it. Well, either way, yes, it's possible. It's just
Add an app, import expert sheet.
it because you already have the template for you, so you can use the template. But in case the template doesn't match the columns of how you have it, your phone list now, there is an option if you look at the screen. When you go to site contents, add an app, one of the very last ones on the second page is import a spreadsheet. So you can import it, and then obviously it's an Excel file. The only thing is that when you have the Excel file, let me see if I have one. I do not have a math list. When you have a worksheet on SharePoint, most people will just add the columns and then they'll have the borders and stuff. The table itself has to be, if you go to Insert and select Table, and then of course tell it, where's the data, table has headers, it has to look like this. So when you have all the information on here, the worksheet needs to be like this for some reason. So just make sure, and it's not hard to convert one over, because you can have all the information. So let's say I have, teacher, extension, I don't know, room number, and then I have all the information here like teacher A, B. Let's see if it wants to do this now. I didn't do it, but okay. And then I have all the extensions on here. And then the room number. So let's say your worksheet looks like this. All you have to do is the same thing, go to Insert, Table, and you see how it automatically selects it. And then on the question, it'll ask you if it has headers or not. So obviously it does. So when you hit OK, it'll turn it into a table per se. Okay? And I believe we should have videos on this, so I don't expect you to remember all of this, but yes, you can. Any other questions?
So we can show them, do you have a phone list, custom list already up there?
Up here, no. What, do you want me to import a document or something? A spreadsheet?
Say do that, you can show him how to do the edit the documents, not in the form, in a dish.
Okay.
He can copy and paste it right in there.
Another way that you can do this, let me go to the template page and I'm going to download the phone list. Another way that you can import all the information is if you go to the phone list and use the template, you'll see that we have the columns already set up, your name, room, extension, and then the voicemail extension, in case you have a school that has 2 different extensions per teacher, because there's some schools that have one that goes directly to your, huh?
The 4 number 4, goes directly to voicemail.
I didn't know it started with 4. Anyways, some schools have that, depending, I don't know, is that even the case with IP phones?
That's
Yeah.
what that is.
Oh, okay.
All teachers should have 2 numbers.
Oh, all of them should now. Oh, nice, okay, well, wasn't the case when I was at the
I don't know
school.
if it's transfer straight to voicemail, so it doesn't ring in the class.
Very nice. Okay. So, one of the new features with SharePoint 2013 is you have the quick edit. And what that does, it kind of turns it into Excel. So as long as you have all the information, even if you don't have the information in this specific order, you know how you can rearrange columns in Excel, you can go in there, copy and paste them on here. You don't have to do it one by one. You can have multiple ones, and it will still, it'll make a new row for every value on there. And then just hit view, and it'll go back to normal. So, yep, no problem.
So something like this in Excel, we couldn't do this, right? Because it would automatically convert it over to the way you're talking about.
Is that's your current phone list?
Yeah, this is a PDF.
Correct,
We
but
have
do
it
you-
in Excel.
There's multiple tables on there.
Yeah, that looks like there's multiple tables in there. I mean, you can copy and paste the information. That's crazy.
It'll merge these cells automatically, or we have to do it?
Probably have to do it just to. Yeah, you probably have to do it separately. But you have name. That's the. Oh, you added the room number. That's nice. Yeah, I mean, you could. The easiest way, if I was you, I would do the quick edit and then just copy paste the information.
What, a section at a time, or?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, because you don't want those headers on there.
Will I leave, it'll lose that heading?
No, that will stay. It's just you don't want to have this heading on here. I'm assuming, because you just want to have all the information.
So I will lose that blue heading?
Yes.
It's not going to display the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was, yeah.
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
probably won't use this one.
And then, did you touch on custom list and add columns and all that good stuff, or no? So, like in your case, where I think you had position or role, if you wanted to add that column on here, because if you go to new item, these are the only columns. When I made this template, I just made it very generic, because obviously it'll change on school. So if you wanted to add another column, you would go, obviously make sure that you're inside of that phone list. You would go to list. There's multiple ways of doing this. Actually, you know what? I'll show you the easiest way. When you're in that quick edit, you see the little plus sign on here? You can just click on it and you can add a column. Most likely it's going to be text. So you click on text and then do roll, and there you go. A good thing about doing a list, if it's something that you're going to have